Imagine a life without inventions. Try to think about it. What comes to your mind? Whatever your choice is, we can't deny that humans have come up with amazing and simple inventions that have revolutionized the world. These inventions wouldn't be today if it wasn't for these amazing minds. So who are they? Today we will look at African American inventors who changed the world. How did they come up with these ideas? Let's find out. Thomas Jennings. Thomas Jennings was the first African American to receive a patent in the USA, paving the way for future inventors of color to gain exclusive rights to their inventions. Born in 1791, Jennings lived in New York City, where he worked as a tailor and dry cleaner. He invented an early method of dry cleaning called dry scoring and patented it in 1821. 4 years before, Paris tailor Jean-Baptiste refined his own chemical technique and established what many people claim was the first dry cleaning business. Many people objected to a black person receiving a patent. However, Jennings had an advantage. He was not a slave. During those times, there was a law that said the enslaver is the owner of the fruits of the labor of the slave, both manual and intellectual. This meant that slaves couldn't legally own their own ideas or inventions. However, nothing stopped Jennings. The Congress extended patent rights to all African American individuals enslaved and free. Thomas Jennings used the money from the invention to free the rest of his family. He also donated to abolition causes. Madam C.J. Walker. Her full name is Vaughn Sarah Breedlove. She was often referred to as America's first self-made female millionaire. Though her first 20 years were tough as she lost her parents and became a widow, fortunes changed as she made a move to where her brothers worked as barbers. Madam C.J. suffered from hair loss and experimented with various products, including a hair cap recipe developed by an African-American businesswoman named Malone. Madam C.J. became a sales representative for Malone and relocated to Denver, where she also married her husband, Charles Joseph Walker. Soon after, she began selling her own cosmetic and hair products specifically for African-American women. Breedlove heavily promoted the product and established beauty schools, salons, and training facilities across America. Madam C.J. died a famous millionaire and is today considered the founder of African-American hair care products and cosmetic industry. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone was an American inventor who on April 26, 1892, obtained a United States patent for her improvements to the ironing board. Boone's ironing board was designed to improve the quality of ironing sleeves and the bodies of women's garments. The board was very narrow, curved, and made of wood. The shape and structure allowed it to fit a sleeve, and it was reversible. This made it so that one could iron both sides of the sleeve, and it made it easier to iron garments, particularly women's clothing. Boone was one of 4 African-American women inventors of her time and developed new technologies at home. Alexander Miles. Elevators help people from climbing long and tiresome stairs. However, before the creation of elevator doors that close automatically, riding and leaving were both complicated and risky. Before automatic doors, people had to manually shut both elevator doors before riding. Forgetting to do so led to multiple accidents as people fell down the elevator shafts. Alexander Miles was living in Duluth, Minnesota, when he designed an important safety feature. The daughter of the African-American inventor Alexander Miles almost died as she fell through the shaft. It took upon himself to develop a solution. In 1897, he got patents for a mechanism that automatically opens and closes elevator shaft doors, and its design is reflected in the elevators used today. Charles Richard. Charles Richard was an American surgeon and researcher who was born in Washington, D.C. in 1904. On a sports scholarship, he attended Amherst College in 1922 and later attended medical school in Montreal and became the first African-American to earn his doctorate in medical service at Columbia University. Early German World War II drew up to develop improved techniques for blood storage that ultimately organized the first large-scale blood bank in the U.S. for the American Red Cross. Charles started what would later be known as bloodmobiles, which include refrigerators of stored blood. These allow greater mobility in terms of transportation as well as prospective donations. He passed away in 1950 after a car accident, leaving behind his wife and 4 children. Frederick Jones. Frederick Jones is one of the most innovative inventors of his time in the 1930s. He is known as an inventor, entrepreneur, and a winner of the diverse awards. So what did he do? Jones designed a portable air cooling unit for trucks to transport food. He presented it in 1914, calling it Thermo King. In 1914, Thermo King was worth $3 million. This played a huge part in World War II in the transport of medicine and food. From engines to portable X-ray machines, Jones ended up having more than 60 ideas. He died in 1961. Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan. Those who survived either of the world wars, thanks to gas masks, have Garrett Morgan to thank. Morgan first created the safety hood to help firefighters navigate smoky buildings. He later modified it to carry its own air supply, making it the world's first effective gas mask. He also had a good sense to add a third light to the traffic signal. There was a time when traffic signals just indicated stop or go. Garrett Morgan's introduction of the third light led to a reduction in accidents. He did this with only an elementary school education. Garrett Morgan was the son of a slave. Garrett Morgan was also an entrepreneur as he first launched his own hair product company. Morgan also started a sewing machine repair company and a newspaper known as the Cleveland Coal. Philip Downing. In 1891, anyone who wanted to deliver a letter would make a long trip to the post office. Downing saw an opportunity and an invention. He developed a metal box with 4 legs. He called his device the Treats letter box and is the predecessor of today's mailbox. This invention would protect mail from theft and poor weather conditions. This further expanded the postal system, allowing people to mail letters without having to walk to the post office. Jan Ernest Matzinger. In the 19th century, the average person couldn't afford shoes. This changed to Jan Ernest Matzinger, an immigrant from Guyana. Matzinger invented a shoe upper part to its sole. Once it was refined, the device could make 700 pairs of shoes each day. Matzinger's creation led to lower shoe prices, making them finally within financial reach for the average American. George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was born into slavery in Missouri. The Civil War ended when he was just a boy. Carver was a young man who received a chance for an education. During that period of time, Black Americans were limited at the time. Higher education and opportunity came to George, and he used them wisely. He received his undergraduate and master's degree in agricultural science at Iowa State Agricultural College. After his graduation, he was hired by Booker T. Washington to run the Tuskegee Institute's agricultural development in Alabama. Carver was a kind man as he helped poor people by teaching them about fertilization and crop rotation. The scientists conducted studies on the soil to determine which crops would thrive in the region. Legumes and potatoes enriched the field, but there wasn't much time demand for either, so Carver thought. Carver used the humble peanut to create more than 300 products ranging from laundry soap to plastic to diesel fuel. By 1940, it was the second largest cash crop. In his lifetime, George would be known as a botanist, environmentalist, invented teacher, and celebrity. Marie Van Britten. Homeowners can rest a little easier thanks to Marie Van Britten. Marie was a nurse and an inventor. Marie created a precursor to the modern home TV security system. This creation was led because of the crime rates in the brown New York City neighborhood. To feel safe, Marie and her husband developed a way for a motorized camera to peer through a set of peepholes and project images onto a TV monitor. The device also included a 2-way microphone to speak with a person outside and an emergency button to alarm the police. The Browns filed a patent for their invention, and on December 2, 1969, it was approved. George Carruthers. George Carruthers was an astrophysicist who spent much of his career working with the Space Science Division of the Naval Research Laboratory in Washington, D.C. He's most famous for creating the ultraviolet camera, which NASA used when it launched Apollo 16 in 1972. It helped prove that hydrogen existed in interstellar space, and in 1974, space scientists used a new model version of the camera to observe Halley's Comet and other celestial phenomenon in the U.S.'s first space station, Skylab. Carruthers was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2003. Dr. Shirley Jackson. Dr. Shirley is an American physicist who received her Ph.D. from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1973. She was also the first woman to earn a doctorate in nuclear physics at MIT. In addition to her lengthy list of academic achievements, she also has an outstanding number of inventions under her belt. Shirley's experiments with theoretical physics paved the way for numerous developments in telecommunications space, including the touchline telephone, the portable fax color ID, call waiting, and fiber optic cable. Shirley became the 18th president of the Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. There are many African American inventors. However, the video ends here, and we thank you for watching the video. What was most surprising? What invention stood out? Let us know in the comments section. Remember to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe on your way out.